Now, how many of you folks who've had your wristwatch at least a year missed at least one of the questions? Can I see your hand, all right? How many of you folks who've had the wristwatch 5 years missed at least one of the questions? Can I see your hand? How many of you remember just a minute ago when I said to you, now I want you to carefully, as a matter of fact, I want you to very carefully look at your watch. How many of you remember me saying that to you just a few seconds ago? Okay, what time is it? We got to remember, as we think about that wristwatch, that that's the reason our dealer wants us in that sales meeting to go over the same thing we just went over yesterday and the day before and the day before. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe that if you can look at your wristwatch 50,000 times and still not know what is there, there is a definite possibility that the new Tourist or the new Aerostar might have some more features about it that you do not quite understand, some more techniques, some more technology, and in order to communicate to that customer what we've really got, then what we've got to do is get the facts with the right attitude to communicate to the prospect. How many of you believe that your thinking has a definite direct bearing on your performance? Can I see your hands, please? All right. Now, before you change your thinking, you got to change what goes into your mind. We all want exactly the same thing, whether you live in the northwestern coast corner of Washington or the southeastern coast of Florida. Anywhere in between, we all want basically the same thing. Everybody I've ever talked to wants to have good health. You know anybody who does not appreciate good health? I believe every one of you would accept a raise or a bonus if it were offered. Is anybody here who would not accept a raise or a bonus if it were offered? The boss put one up, you would accept it, wouldn't you? All right? Occasionally I'll have somebody say, well, I don't really want to make a lot of money. But I have discovered years ago that a man or a woman who'd say a thing like that would lie about other things, too. And don't misunderstand, money's not everything. I mean, you know, there's stocks and bonds and real estate. There are other things. But everybody at least wants a good standard of living with some few surpluses to go along with it. Third thing everybody wants to be is happy. Everybody wants to have friends. Everybody wants to be secure. And everybody wants to have peace of mind. Those are 6 universals. Everybody wants those 6 things. So as salespeople, let me ask you a question. How many of them have you got? And you need to ask yourself that question, you see, because you need to find out what you've got and compare it with what you want. Because you see, if what you've got is short of what you want, then we need to explore how we got what we got. And what you're going to discover is you've got what you got based on your performance. So obviously, if you keep on doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep on getting what you've been getting. Last November the 26th, my redhead now, my wife is a decided redhead, meaning simply one day that she just decided, you know. The redhead and I were at our favorite ice cream parlor one night about a year ago, and we were sitting there having our ice cream, and then walked this young fellow, his girlfriend. Now, I surmise he's 23, 24, 25 years old. And when he walked in, I kind of nudged the redhead a little bit. I said, look at that. She said, I see him. I said, I wonder what happened. She said, what do you mean? I said, look, he's hurt. He's been in an accident. Oh, honey, she said, he hadn't been in an accident. He's been in the beauty shop or the barber shop. I said, that wasn't an accident? She said, no, honey, he's a punk rocker. In my lifetime, I've never seen a human being as badly mutilated from the ears up as this guy was. Now, the beautiful thing about America is, you see, he can choose to be that way. He can choose to look that way if he wants to. But he made another choice when he made that one. He chose to eliminate 98% of all employment opportunities. Your dealer wouldn't hire him. We certainly wouldn't hire him at our company. Why, we'd have to spend half our time just explaining the fella. I mean, now, What's all of this got to do with selling more Fords this year? It has everything to do. Because you see, the way you show up dressed physically and mentally is a choice you made, but you also chose directly when you made that choice as to how many new Fords you're going to be selling. It's all part of the package. Now, we can choose to greet that walk-in prospect enthusiastically, or we can choose to judge them and say, oh, he's just looking. Bum, you can tell the way he walks in. He's not interested. Or you can choose to put him on trial, sentence him, convict him of being a buyer, and greet him enthusiastically and let him leave the proud owner of the new Ford. Yes, you can. I hope it's the latter because, you see, I've been a customer of Ford for nearly 30 years. I went to the wayside for one automobile, but I happen to believe in what you sell. And I hope you choose to greet them enthusiastically and professionally. I hope you're prepared physically and mentally to handle that prospect in the proper way. We go through life making lots of choices. Yes, your attitude's important, because my selling friends, your business is never either good or bad out there. Your business is either good or bad right here between your own two ears. If you've got that right mental attitude, and you know, occasionally you'll have that prospect who'll come in, and how many of you ever talked to a nasty prospect? Can I see your hands? I mean, cynical and skeptical. Some of them, you know, walk in looking like the cruise director for the Titanic. I know that happens. But the way they feel should not dictate how we feel towards them. When the prospect says to you, that price is ridiculous, how do you respond to that as salespeople? Let me encourage you to try this approach with the right attitude, the right words, the right voice inflection. Just lower your voice, look them right in the eye and say, wow, it's ridiculous. Now, folks, that sounds so simple. But let me tell you what I did. I just moved the objection back to the other side of the table. Now the prospect's got to defend his statement instead of you having to justify the price. Dramatic difference. And ladies, this works in our personal and family lives as well, too. For example, you might beat your husband home one day, and he walks in the door, and you've had a lousy day, you know, and so he walks in the door, and you greet him warmly, obviously, and you say to him, honey, did you want to take me to Alamans or Farfellows for dinner? He might have had a bad day himself. He might say, I don't want to take you anywhere to dinner. Well, you don't argue with him. You just lower your voice and say, you don't want to take me to dinner? Huh? It almost ain't fair, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't. But your attitude, your voice inflection, the way you handle it. Maybe one prospect is, pretty nice, but he might say to you, well, it seems to me the price is a little high. You lower your voice and say, Mr. Prospect, a few years ago, Ford Motor Company executives got together and made what I think is one of the most beautiful decisions they've ever made. They decided that it would be easier to explain the price.